For those who have been here for a while, now things are back to normal. Cleanse the edifice before presenting it to the audience. And those who know, know. Those who don't know, ask somebody that knows.
That's right.
That's an old joke around here. I usually do that before I get up here because the nervousness never goes away. And when it does, I'm going to not come up here anymore because this is the time to be nervous. But it's a little microcosm of how we are supposed to live our lives. Even you're scared to death, do it anyway because it's the thing to do. And along that line, what does unequally yoked really mean? In modern parlance, not much at all. But in the parlance of Yahweh, it's everything. Everything. But most of us weren't aware of how deep the marriage bond or the yoke of Yahshua were. And that's our title this evening. The yoke of Yahshua. Most of us weren't aware of how deep the marriage bond or the yoke of Yahshua were when we embarked on either one of them. Ask anyone today if dating someone that doesn't share your beliefs, is it really that big a deal? Actually, yes. If the relationship is expected to turn serious. Or if you could see if this terminology rings a bell with you. He's the one. He's the one. She's the one. And she's the one. This is all important to you. Let's drop anchor at 2 Corinthians, the 6th chapter, the 1st verse. But working together, and you will be in ways that you don't always expect from the beginning. Working together, we also call on you not to receive the grace of Yahweh in vain. For he says, in an acceptable time, I heard you. In the day of salvation, I helped you. Behold, now is the accepted time. And we've seen that already. Behold, now is the day of salvation. We are in nothing giving cause of stumbling. In no way, so that the ministry may not be blamed. But in everything, commanding ourselves as Yahweh's servants in much patience, in troubles, in emergencies, in distress, in stripes, in imprisonments, in what? Riots, in labors, and now we're coming up on a time that all those things will come into play. And we will see it a little bit clearly as when you're up against that wall, you'll see it clearly. And if not prepared, that's the wrong time to see it clearly. Now is the right time. In watchings, in fastings, in pureness, in knowledge, in long suffering, in kindness, in the Holy Spirit. And watch this. Love unfeigned. Love unfeigned. In the word of truth, in the power of Yahweh, through the weapons of righteousness on the right hand and on the left, through glory and dishonor, through all evil reports and good reports, as deceivers and yet true, as unknown and yet well known, as dying and behold, we live, as chastened and not killed, as sorrowful yet always rejoicing, as poor yet making many rich,
Preach it, brother.
Yes.
as having nothing yet possessing all things. O Corinthians, our mouth is open to you. Our hearts have been enlarged. Yet you are not restrained in us, but you are restrained in your own affection. But for the same reward, I speak as children, you also be enlarged. 2 Corinthians, the 6th chapter, 14th verse. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship does righteousness have with lawlessness? And what partnership does light have with darkness? And what agreement does Messiah have with Belial? And what agreement does the temple of Yahweh have with idols? For you are the temple of the living Yahweh, our Elohim.
Yes.
I will dwell in them. And now you see what that's all about. I will dwell in them. And I will be their Elohim. And they shall be my people. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate, says Yahweh.
Yes.
And do not touch. Here he said it. We didn't believe it. In the garden, he didn't say it. Here, he said it. And we didn't believe it. And don't touch the unclean thing. And I will receive you. And I will be a father to you. And you shall be my sons and daughters. Always forgot those daughters too.
Yes.
Those daughters are very important. I have always thought that way, but pushed away from it. I didn't take it personally. Vision is an individual thing, not a group thing. This is a group, but we all will be judged individually. This is the often stated verse calling believers to be equally yoked, but many believers fail to see why this is important. They disregard it completely, and some to their spiritual and sometimes lifelong peril. Those who have lived in these relationships for a while, you see the difference. Those who haven't or want to hide your pain, don't let anyone into that inner circle of pain you constructed for yourselves. These don't see it so clearly because, let's think about this first. that inner circle of pain in the church is those who are sniping behind the scenes with godless attitudes in the churches. I know, I'm talking about the world. I'm talking about in the churches. Most of them are shrinking every day. Why? Because of this. Notice, no one, Matthew 6:24, Matthew 6:24, no one is able to serve two masters. They will hate one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You are not able to serve Yahweh and mammon, or money, bread, scratch, whatever you call it, when you get your hands on something, which these days is kind of rare. And it's becoming a rarer thing every day. And that's just the beginning of it. Not time to talk about that today, but you'll see it when you get back. Especially if you live in Illinois. Now I know why they call it some Illinois. Yeah, thinking. Being equally yoked is not meant to inhibit our dating lives. Rather, it is a command designed for protection and honor. Protect and honor it fully at all times. Being unequally yoked is more dangerous than you think.
Yes.
And waiting for someone with whom you share a spiritual heritage is far more important and rewarding than many believe. Ask someone who done it.
Yes.
And I can't say from up here. Everybody has their own story. Just like that, standing before God, everyone will stand on their own. Even those who are equally you.
Yes.
Don't stand up there as a couple. And that's why it says, everyone work out his own salvation with trembling and fear.
Right.
I had a conversation with a woman a while back, and she said something surprising to me for her age. But at the time I heard it, I didn't understand it fully. I still don't understand it, but I now wrap my mind around it a little different. She said that she didn't think God cared about who she dated or married. He has bigger things to worry about. But this couldn't be farther from the truth. Yahweh has always cared about the unions his people make.
That's right.
Evidence, Deuteronomy, 7th chapter, 2nd verse. Moses here is instructing the Israelites in their responsibilities as the people of Yahweh. They had been freed from Egyptian slavery, and now they were free men and women, physically. Note that, physically. About to enter the promised land. And Moses gave them a stern warning. And they ignored it, as they ignored everything else. And Yahweh, your Elohim, shall deliver you, and shall deliver them before you. You shall crush them completely, destroy all. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy to them. When God says something that harsh, he does it for a reason. Obey it. They did it. Nor shall you make marriages with them. You shall not give your daughter to his son. Nor shall you take his daughter to your son. For they shall turn you away, your son, from me, so that they may serve other gods, small g. So the anger of Yahweh will be kindled against you and will destroy you suddenly. But you shall deal with them in this way. You shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn down their images with fire. For you are a holy people. Look into that word holy. The people of Yahweh, your Elohim. Yahweh, your Elohim, has chosen you to be a special people.
That's right.
To himself. Above all people that are upon the earth. Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than other people. For you were the fewest of all people. But because Yahweh loved you, and that word love is thrown around now like a I love you. Take your clothes off. What y'all laughing at? Y'all heard it before. Because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he has sworn to your fathers. Yahweh has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Therefore, know that Yahweh, your Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful Elohim, who keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him, and keeps his commandments to 1,000 generations. How many generations of us have we lived? Anyway. And he repays them who hate him to their face, not behind their backs. He repays them to their face, to destroy them. Nothing like knowing it's coming, and it's coming right at you. That is final enough in itself. That people understand. That's why that death penalty is wrong thing is so hurtful in the modern society. Some people deserve it. And according to this way of life, they're going to eventually get it anyway, if they don't, like everyone else. But most people don't think beyond this coil because they can't see beyond this coil. Business is going to be conducted beyond this coil.
Yes.
The real business. several hundred years. And we'll find directly Israel in direct rebellion against Yahweh's command again. Judges, 3rd chapter, the 5th verse. Get used to it. They would wind up here several times as we go on. Get used to it. Judges 3:5. And the sons of Israel lived among the Canaanites, Hittites, and Amorites, and Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites. That was the war. Jebus was eventually Jerusalem. This wouldn't have happened if they killed these people when they were told to do it. And they took their daughters to be their wives and gave their daughters to their sons and served their gods. And the sons of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahweh and forgot Yahweh, their Elohim, and served Baals and the Asherahs. Look up these things on your own. Right? Don't give you everything. That is by design, not a design flaw. If you put stuff out there, it's cogent, and people research it and come back to you with the correct information, and they can go on with the conversation from there. Asherahs. Look that up in your own time. Asherahs. The sons of Israel lived among the Canaanites, and they took their daughters for their wives and gave their own daughters to their sons and served their gods. It probably didn't seem harmful at first. Perhaps the Israelites felt like there weren't enough women around. They weren't good looking enough. You know how we get. I said we. We all are like that. Well, there was no one among them readily available appealed to them or their fantasies for a mate. We have those too. We all have. That's why we have to wait long enough to distinguish between what downstairs wants and upstairs has to have. And I say this carefully because they're children.
Yes.
However, they rationalized, the Israelites did. They formed covenants between themselves and people who neither knew nor served Yahweh. In so doing, they were led astray. This story, I found, it was a little bit different, but the same stuff. And I say stuff that way for a reason. Stuff. Judges 14th chapter, 1st verse. Samson, the same fate befell Samson. But Samson's story is a little bit different because Yahweh told him to find a way to bring down the Philistines. Notice that. The first thing, only one commandment of all of them. We are told to flee from. What is it? Flee from fornication. Fornication. This is a story of Hawaii. But the fact that Yahweh gave Samson no instructions on how. That's what's cogent about this story. Judges 14:1. Samson went down to Timnath and saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. There we go. It's special, but it's the same stuff. And he came to his mother and father and told them, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines, and now get her for me for a wife. And his father and mother said, is there no woman among your daughters and our daughters and your brothers and among all of your people that you could take for a wife? And nowadays, some people are saying that he would choose either a man or a woman. They just disfigure this book every way possible in this time and age. Every way possible. And that's not what he was saying. And his father and mother said to him, is there no woman among the daughters of your brothers or among all your people that you could take to wife? And you got to go out and among the uncircumcised Philistines? And Samson said to his father, get her for me, for she pleases me very much. And those who have been here a while and heard it before, I'll say it again. Same physiology, same psychology. And again, children are present.
Yes.
Same physiology, same psychology. But his father and his mother knew not that he was from Yahweh in this. But he was looking for an occasion against the Philistines. Never told them what occasion, but this was the most likely path. But his father and mother then, for at that time, the Philistines had rule over Israel. And Samson and his father and his mother went down to Timnath, and they came to the vineyards in Timnath, and behold, a young lion roared to meet them. He'd already eaten. That way, they weren't eating. And the Spirit of Yahweh came mightily upon him, Samson, and he tore it as he would have torn a kid. Nothing was in his hand. That's a strong man. That's a strong man to tear a lion into his belly.
Yes.
And he went down and talked to this woman. And she pleased Samuel very much. What way, I don't know. And it doesn't say. 8. And after a time, he returned to her. And he turned aside to see the body of the lion. And behold, a swarm of bees and honey was in the dead body of the lion. And he took some of it in his hands. He went on eating and came to his mother and father. And he gave to them, and they ate. But he did not tell them that he had taken it from the dead body of a lion. Read a little bit and you'll see why. And his father went down to the woman, and Samson made a feast there. For so the young men used to do. Over and over in Scripture, though, we see this theme repeated. Samson was authorized. Solomon, not so much. First Kings, the 11th chapter. Solomon had no excuse. He repeatedly sought out unbelieving women, a choice which, in the end, destroyed him. King David's son, the wisest king of all time, when he was asking for wisdom from Yahweh. First Kings, the 11th chapter, the first verse. And King Solomon loved many foreign women. I don't know how many times I heard this quoted in the churches, and somehow or another they abided it and somehow approved of it. That wink and nod kind of approved. And look at the churches now. From that thought alone. That thought alone. King Solomon loved many foreign women, even the daughter of Pharaoh. That one gets me. The daughter of the man that enslaved your people. I thought of something that I can't say as to why. Those who have been in that situation know what I'm about to say, but can't say. Somebody laughed. But the thing is, not only the daughter of Pharaoh, Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, Hittites, of the nations which Yahweh had said to the sons of Israel, you shall not go into them, and they shall not go into you. Surely they will turn away your heart after their gods, small g. Solomon clung to these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. He was rail thin and sleepy all the time. And how I knew that? Because it's hard enough with me. And especially after you had a stroke. And his wives turned away his heart. For it happened when Solomon was old, his wives turned his heart away from him after other gods, small g. And his heart was not perfect with Yahweh, his Elohim, as with the heart of David, his father, as was the heart of David, his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians. Mark that one off. After Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and did not fully go after Yahweh like his father David. Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill which is before Jerusalem. Molech, the abomination of the sons of Ammon. Molech, in the modern day, is linked with abortion because of that very unique statue that they had for killing the babies. One with arms outstretched, and placed the baby on it in a spring load, launched the baby into the fire pit in this thing's belly. And I've heard that the chemicals that constitute an abortion do the same thing physically to the babies that we kill today. Molech, the abomination of the sons of Ammon. And likewise he did for all his foreign wives, and burned incense and sacrificed to their gods. And Yahweh was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from Yahweh, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice and had commanded him concerning this thing twice. Wouldn't have taken me once. I don't know. I don't know nothing about it. Kids here. And the grown folks know what you're talking about.
Yes.
And Yahweh said to Solomon, since you have done this, and he doesn't even dig in. He did twice. And you have done this. And it didn't matter how many times. The first time was enough. Any time after that, digging deeper. I will surely tear the kingdom from you and will give it to your servant. But I will not do it in your days for David your father's sake. But I will tear it from your hand, out of the hand of your son. Only I will not tear away all the kingdom, but I will leave one tribe for your son, for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. And it happened, Yahweh just stirred up a foe to Solomon, Hadad, the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. For it happened when David was in Edom, and Joab, the commander of the armies, had gone up to bury the slain, and he had stricken every male in Edom. For Joab remained there 6 months with all Israel, until he had cut off every male in Edom. It happened that Hadad fled, and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him, to go to Egypt. Hadad still being a little child, and they arose out of Midian and came to Paran. And they took with them out of Paran. And they came to Egypt, to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, who gave him a house and appointed food for him, and gave him land. And Hadad found favor in the sight of Pharaoh. I don't even have to finish that story. And this was Solomon, the wisest man in the world, the only one go an Edomite like that. And he shouldn't have lived anyway. And he let him go to Pharaoh. And that's a whole other story for another day. We won't be here all day, I promise you. But before I leave here, we will understand why it's very important who we marry.
That's right. Yes.
And this was Solomon, the wisest man in the world, until his many wives led him to other gods. Uniting ourselves, however, to people that do not love, follow, or submit to Yahweh is direct obedience, disobedience.
Yes.
And we have not heard much of this from our leaders, but there is a reason for that. They haven't been particularly obedient in this matter themselves.
That's right.
And the churches have suffered greatly in this. All of them. Even the ones that aren't really churches. They do the same thing. I said it once. Same physiology, same psychology. In the coming end times, complete unity of thought and mind is the only thing that will accomplish our goal of having a place for our families and faith intact onto and into his coming kingdom.
That's right.
Intimacy is impossible without spiritual unity. Yahshua is the king of our lives. Our most intimate selves should be submitted to his influence.
That's right. Yes.
How can someone unite with a spirit led by a soul that is in rebellion against Yahweh at some point? This rubs people the wrong way when you say that, but if they're in these marriages, and the thing is, this thing wasn't about marriage from the beginning. The Bible is written like this. It says something in one place. It applies in any place. People will continually go to, for instance, where is it? 521. I didn't really write it down. You all have heard it. Test all things and hold fast to that which is good.
Yes.
Somebody knows where it is.
Oh, yeah, Thessalonians.
That one is applicable anywhere in the book, not just in on one place. All of this wisdom is applicable across the board. And we have this habit of, oh, that only belongs there. That only belongs there. And the only time I can look at that is in this situation right here. That's why this rubs people the wrong way. They have ignored it at their peril. And that peril comes, and all of a sudden, it's the preacher's fault. And the worship leader's fault. anybody's fault but their own. But when you get home and the lights go out and the rumbling starts, not that one, that one with the kids down the hall. After it stops and the room is silent, you got some thinking to do. The Bible says that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, Elohim, and that without Messiah, we are unresponsive in our transgressions to conform to the world, living by the cravings of our flesh, and by nature, children of wrath. Ephesians, 2nd chapter, the 1st verse. And he has made you alive, who were once dead in trespasses and sins, in which you once walked, according to the course of the word, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now works in the children of disobedience. We who have been in this for a while have seen how hard it is to convict the children of disobedience of their sin and strip them of their fig leaves. They were never equipped fully as Adam and Eve were. They were and still are in fig leaves. Understand that as you deeper into the book. For they ever seek to justify themselves on the ground of their good intentions. Ceremonial services like Easter, Christmas, Halloween, etc. And none of these cannot take the place of pure, humble, sincere obedience to the will of Yahweh,
Yes.
which requires full yieldedness to Yeshua Messiah. Verse 3. Among whom we have had our way of life in the past, in the lusts of the flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the thoughts, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. But Yahweh, who is rich in mercy, we've seen plenty of that this week, who is rich in mercy for his great love with which he loved us and still loves us. That's a profundity I found in the things that are happening here. He loves us much more than we, and he still loves us. Every sin we send up to him now, he feels it in a profound way. I never knew that before. I was just sending him up there. Didn't know much about what happened to him. But more importantly, I didn't know what happens to him. He takes them home. That element was largely eliminated from us and never told to us. And if you get a chance, get over it. And it's something. If you're pure in heart, you don't go over there lying. If you're gonna go over there hiding stuff, don't go. Nothing's gonna happen for you. but if you bear it all, and that doesn't think of the things you think it is. That doesn't say every secret is out there. They're looking for certain things. He's looking for certain things
That's right.
that wounded you in the flesh in ways that you thought were diseases. When I came here, I wasn't talking this clear.
No, you were not. No, you were not.
And I would have never thought of 1 Thessalonians 5:21. That's that scripture I was talking about earlier.
Yes, yes.
I would have never thought of it.
Yes.
It's clear. The healing is coming. It's
Praise
not.
God.
This stuff is real. It's always been real to me. But that was the deal. Those who get it blindly automatically bypass evil. How did you put it? We are the first class graduating from this veil called earth. I never heard it put that way.
Yes.
I wasn't much for school. I wouldn't have never thought. But it's interesting.
Yes.
And I will use it with your permission. Yes. Verse 5. He loved us even when we were dead in sin. Has made us alive together with Yahshua. By grace you are saved. And has raised us up together and made us sit together in the heavens in Yahshua Messiah. So that in the ages to come he might show the exceeding riches of his grace in his kindness toward us through Yahshua Messiah. For by his grace you are saved through faith. Yeah. Little correction of context on that one. For we are his workmanship, created in Yahshua Messiah, to good works, which Yahweh has before ordained that we should walk in them. This is who we are without Yeshua Messiah. This is everyone that is apart from Messiah. No exceptions. No exception. Yahweh knows this. It's why he commanded the Israelites to marry within the household of faith, as it was. And it's why he inspired Paul to issue the same command. This is for our spiritual protection. Righteousness has nothing in common with a person who believes that they are good apart from Yahweh. And some, well, I'm good enough on my own. He'll take me. Right there. But first, even you will get a chance to prove that you will live without violence. Then, the other place, if you fail. For does righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship has light with darkness? One immediately eliminates the other. Once light comes in, shadows disappear. What harmony is there between Yahshua and the lion? Or what does a believer have in common with an unbeliever? No relationship apart from Yahweh, from Messiah, can be truly good. Totally. There are good parts. And I don't go home with you, but I don't know what's going on here. But you do. You discern whether I'm truthful or not. That's not my place yet. It may look good to the outside, but it will never be unified within in the way as a totally unified, equally yoked couple.
Yes.
And this is not to say that all equally yoked couples are perfect. There are things floating around and out there that erode this. Feminism, for instance. Male supremacy, for instance. Misogyny, for instance. These attitudes, racist attitudes, self-hatred, family pride. You know what I'm talking about. That
Oh, yes.
in-law thing.
Yes.
Your brother, your sister, your cousin. You all have heard it before. And some of it, and you'll hear it again. That in-law thing. My family is better than your family. All these attitudes of the world come against equally yoked partnerships as well.
Yes. Yes.
Until we recognize them as the destructive tools of Satan that they are, and finally let them go.
Yes.
Anything that pollutes your sanctuary,
Yes.
and now you know what that is.
Yes. Yes.
Anything that pollutes your sanctuary affects your yoked state.
Yes. Wow.
Paul's mandate to be equally yoked isn't even found in a list of commandments. It was written to a struggling little church at Corinth. A group of people confused about how to live for Messiah in a corrupt world. And that was a corrupt place. Full of idols. And all of a sudden, comes this guy talking about equally yoked. That's why he took time to explain why equal yoking is essential to the Christian life. And he wasn't talking about marriage per se, but it like other wisdom that's there, like 1 Thessalonians 5:21. It applies across the board, not just in one place. What agreement can exist between the temple of Yahweh and idols? For we are the temple of the living Yahweh. As Yahweh said, I will live among them and walk among them, and I will be their Elohim, and they my people. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate,
Yes.
says Yahweh. touch not the unclean thing,
Yes.
and I will receive you. Your body is that temple.
Yes.
As a follower of Messiah, the Spirit of Yahweh dwells in you. This is why Yahweh calls us out from among them, whoever them are. And a lot of them are. He's not telling us to be unloving. We are called to love even unbelievers. First Peter, second chapter, 12th verse. Yahweh is calling us to love him more than we love. Our own desire for a relationship. He's calling us to a place of worship for him and us as individuals. That's why some tomorrow are going to go down in that water alone. Put that there before I knew that was going to happen. And some that are going to go down there, I didn't even know that they hadn't gone down there. And I'll say no more about that. She wants to, she can. It's a long story and I don't have time. And right now, I don't have the ability. And she hasn't told me to say anything else.
It's good. Go ahead, Pastor.
Ruby Gideon, her mother forced her into the waters of baptism some years ago.
36.
And we were talking, and this came up, and I jumped right on that. You want to do it again? And she said,
Yes.
and she's going to do it, along with a couple of others. I wrote this 3 months ago, and I didn't have any idea about her, and no one else was on that. Well, we had one. She hadn't shown up yet. She'll show up tomorrow. Sandra's only sister. She now has one other family member in the family. Through our association, that comes about. It can happen. It can happen that way if you do it the right way. And it's in his plan. This is a call to reconsider your view of Elohim in your dating life. Yahweh cares about our relationships because he cares about us. He cares about our purity because that is what keeps us in a relationship with him. Our holiness preachers, the gospel is more than words. And a lot of words we skipped over to keep living the way we were. And that was to our peril. Our holiness preachers preach the gospel louder than our words. Our holiness, though, preaches the gospel even louder.
Yes. Yes.
Unequal yoking hinders our walk with Yahweh. It's the one thing we need more than anything else. Many have read this passage in the Bible where Paul admonishes us to be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, but have assumed on it all kinds of restrictions to Christian marriage. What constitutes an unequally yoked marriage? Or for that matter, an unequally yoked relationship with anyone? Many will be shocked to learn that this verse is not referring to marriage at all. The phrase unequally yoked together is not a phrase that signifies marriage. You weren't together by a yoke. The yoke of Yahshua at that time. But read the entire scripture. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Messiah with Belial? Or what part hath he that believes with an infidel? And what agreement has the temple of God with idols? What agreement has the temple of Elohim with idols? For you are the temple of the living Elohim. As Yahweh has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their Elohim.
Yes.
And they shall be my people.
Yes.
Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate,
That's right.
says Yahweh, and touch not the unclean thing,
That's right.
and I will receive and will be a father unto you.
Yes.
And you shall be my sons and daughters, says the Master Almighty. The phrase unequally yoked together is the translation of just one Greek word, heterozugio. Heterozugio, which is a compound word that means to yoke up differently, to associate discordantly, unequally yoked together. It is used but one time in the Bible. The word yoke means a coupling of, as when two oxen are coupled together, pulling a team of oxen. Plowing a field or pulling a wagon. Marriage is much more complicated than that. And so Paul is telling the Corinthians congregation, which was steeped in paganism and their cities, and having been peppered with pagan temples, that they should not be unequally yoked with those who practiced paganism or any work of darkness. They were to avoid unbelievers, unrighteousness, darkness, Belial, infidels, or idolatry. There it is. That's the list Paul gave them, exactly as we read about it. Nothing is mentioned about marriage. But spread for the whole thing. You're going to think that when you see that. That's how God does it. little bit at a time, and you think for yourself. Anybody that confiscates your Bibles at the door, give me that back. I'm going somewhere. Anybody that comes in and has these great overheads, we haven't used it at all. And gets everything through there. And you don't even know what translation you're looking at. Get out of here. It's the wrong place for you. The yoking is the way. And that's not the yoke of Yahshua. That's somebody else. And that one might be a little tight. Might be a little tight for you. So what did Paul mean by it? First of all, it is not possible to live in a country, state, city, village, whatever, without constantly coming into contact with such persons. Even Yahshua himself prayed specifically to his Father exactly as he desired us to live under such conditions in this life. John 17th chapter, 15th verse. I pray not that you take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil. In parentheses, it's got one, the evil one. You know what they're talking about. In a sense, Yahshua was requesting that his disciples would not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. How do we apply this? Verse to marriage. Was he suggesting that the members of the Corinthian church congregation could not and should not marry other members of the congregation? No. He was very, very specific. Be ye not unequally yoked with unbelievers.
Yes.
Were they all spiritually converted? No. Would that limit your choices? Yes. Could a spiritually minded Corinthian marry a carnal minded Corinthian? No. Well, they could. But it's gonna bite you in the hindquarters at some point. I choose my words very carefully. That's why I have all those books on the wall. For just such an occasion. And I've got better ones today. I haven't been well enough. Good question. Are not all believers spiritually minded? What spirit? Let's back up to Paul's first epistle to these same Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 3:1. And I, brethren, could not speak to you as unto spiritual, but as up to now, even as unto babes in Messiah. 3:2. I have fed you with milk and not meat. For hitherto you were not able to bear. Neither yet now are you able, for you are yet carnal. He wasn't saying that they were carnal in the classic sense. But in that environment, a lot of carnal influences were still floating around in their minds. And he would cleanse them over time through the Word of God. Remember that the word ye does not mean the singular you, but all of you. Not that there wasn't maybe a single mature-minded person among these people. As a group, they were carnal. So if they wanted to marry within their faith, most of them would have had to marry someone carnally minded. Now we need to understand what's important in this teaching. Paul didn't say that they couldn't marry someone if they were carnal. He did not even say that they couldn't marry someone if they were an unbeliever. He warned against, being unequally yoked with unbelievers. It is the unequally yoked aspect that he found important. But let's notice something. Be ye not is not the best translation. For if that were the case, Paul would be saying in effect that anyone who was already unequally yoked in marriage with an unbeliever should divorce them. But he was not saying that.
That's right.
I'm saying that slowly because it wasn't going to be miscommunicated that I said something else. And that's why I record every word I say.
That's right.
Because people will do that. And I have had to do a couple times in the past. What I said is there. And the person walked away. They were trying to start the issue. And I don't announce that thing back there. Would anybody want to call something? You started something? Oh! Forget that. You can't. It's recorded. I forgot.
Yeah, to go.
No, Paul never suggested such a thing. Just the opposite. 1 Corinthians 7th chapter, the 7th verse, 12th verse. But to the rest I speak, not the Lord Yahweh. If any brother has a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. 13. And the woman which has a husband that believeth not, and if he is pleased, and that's that same pleased that Samson is talking about. I will protect your kids at all costs. That's what a big vocabulary does for you. If nothing else, protects your kids. So much for King James Version, being not unequally yoked. The proper translation is, become ye not unequally yoked. Or more to the point, don't be getting unequally yoked. Oh. Y'all laughing, but the Bible was written for the common. If the Bible was written properly nowadays, Kanye West would be one of the rhymes. I don't say that in any way championing Kanye West, but the Bible in its day was written for the common man. But to lift him up from commonality to uncommon cleanness and favor with God.
Yes.
Yahweh. That's the way it was written for the little guy. That was the way Michael Jackson wrote when he started something. Anybody that knew Michael Jackson, his diction was perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And the songs were written for the common man. There were more common people than there was anything else. And you don't sell 14 billion records to the rich people. It don't happen. He reached the masses. And he didn't think the way business thinks the masses are. I can't say that. You businessmen heard it already. Rhymes with classes. 1 Corinthians 3:5. Who then is Paul? And who is Apollos? But ministers by whom you believe, even as the Master gave to everyone. First Corinthians 15th chapter, 2nd verse. By which also you are saved, if you keep in memory that I preached unto you, unless you have believed in vain. First Corinthians 15:11. Therefore, whether it were I or they, so we preach, and so you believe. We can advise and try to help people see different aspects of a situation. We can relay our own personal knowledge about such things, but we should not get involved in being overly righteous about these things, that we will get into that thing that other churches do. Like in 1 Timothy. This is a trustworthy saying. 1 Timothy 3:1. This is a trustworthy saying. The one who would be an elder, a noble task desires he. Therefore, an elder must be blameless, the husband of one wife. What do you offer? Because I was about to say something and you want to say. Most of us have done. He must not drink excessively. Well, start with 2. Therefore, an elder must be blameless, the husband of one wife, stable, sensible, respectable, hospitable to strangers, and teachable. Should walk with me. He must not drink excessively or be a violent person, but instead be gentle. He must not be argumentative or love money. He must manage his own family well and have children who are submissive and respectful in every way.
Yes.
I understand when Ray constantly calls on the kids.
Yes. Yes.
At least they're here.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of them aren't. Those who want to rap on his knuckles for that, don't do it. How many of our kids are here? It's a proud thing. And he hasn't said the word pride once. I love it. So, a little hard on the editing sometimes, but that's my job. Four, he must manage his own family well and have children who are submissive and respectful in every way, and they are. For if a man who does not know how to control his own family, how can he take care of God's church? The key is becoming equally yoked. And that can mean, in this case, a marriage. But it can also mean which church one attends. Which clubs one is a member of. Which establishments one goes to for entertainment. Which TV shows become a regular habit.
Yes.
With whom one becomes business partners. Some people I don't do business because I just we had a incident here this year. Those 2 days over at the other place, there was a story there. I won't tell it. But we have to a conclusion. Never become unequally yoked with anyone, and always avoid unrighteousness, darkness, belial, and epithet for Satan, infidels, and idols. This instruction from Yahweh was told to the Levitical leaders. What happened? In case y'all think I'm lying, Ezra, 9th chapter, first verse. And at the end of these things, the rulers came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the land, but they are doing according to their abominations. Those of the Canaanites, the Hittites, we've heard this before. The Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians again, and the Amorites. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons. And the holy seed has been mixed with themselves with the people of these lands. Yet, yes, the hand of the leaders and overseers has been chief in this sin. And when I heard this thing, I tore my garment and my mantle, and plucked off my hairs off my head. And that's not right. And he sat down, stricken and dumb. And everyone who trembled at the words of Yahweh of Israel was gathered to me because of the sin of those who had been exiled. And I remained dumb until the evening sacrifice. And at the evening sacrifice, I rose up from my affliction and tearing my garment and my mantle. I fell on my knees and spread out my hands to Yahweh my Elohim. And I said, "Oh my Elohim, I am ashamed and blush to lift up my face to you, my Elohim. For our iniquities have increased over our heads, and our guiltiness has grown up to the heavens. Since the days of our fathers, we have been in a great sin until this day. And for our iniquities, our priests have been delivered into the hands of the kings of the land, and to the sword, into captivity, and to spoil, and to shame of face, as it is this day. And now, for a little time, grace has been shown from Yahweh our Elohim, to leave us a remnant to escape, and give us a nail in his holy place. A nail. A nail. One nail. Why? From that nail, at least you got something in there from which to grow back.
Yes.
His mercy has no end. His mercy has no end. And we tax it to within an inch every chance. To leave a remnant to escape and to give us a nail in his holy place, so that our Elohim may enlighten our eyes and give us a little life in our bondage. For we were slaves, yet our Elohim has not left us in our bondage, but has given us mercy to us in the sight of the kings of Persia, and to give us some light to set up the house of our Elohim and to repair its ways, and to give us a wall in Judah and in Jerusalem. And oh, our Elohim, what shall we say about this? For we have forsaken your commandments, which you have commanded us by your prophets, your servants the prophets, saying the land into which you go to possess it is an unclean land, with the filthiness of the people of those lands, with their abominations, which have filled it from one end to the other with their uncleanness. And why now do not give your daughters to their sons, nor take their daughters to your sons, nor seek their peace forever, or their wealth forever, so that you may be strong and eat the good of the land, and leave it for an inheritance to your sons forever. From a nail? Better than to use it and obey. I heard a song, one of me, find it. All words. I got it. I'm tired of it. And after all that has come on us for our evil deeds and for our sin, our great sin, since you and our Yahweh have punished us less than our iniquities deserved, didn't even deserve that name. You know it. And have given us such an escape as this. Should we again break your commandments and join hands with the people of these abominations? Would you not be angry with us until you have crushed us, until there is no remnant or survivor? O Yahweh, the God of Israel, you are righteous, for we are left a remnant that has escaped today. Behold, we are before you with our sin, for we cannot stand before you because of this. Ezra 10th chapter, first verse. While Ezra was praying and confessing and weeping and throwing himself down before the house of Yahweh, a very great assembly of men and women and children from Israel gathered to him. And the people wept bitterly. Shechaniah, son of Jehiel, of the sons of Elam, and Ezra said, we ourselves have broken faith with Yahweh. Fine. Maybe. And have married foreign women from the people of the land. And even now there is hope for Israel in spite of this. So now let us make a covenant with our Yahweh to send away all of these women and their offspring according to the advice of my master. And those who tremble at the commandment of our Elohim. Let it be done according to the law. Arise, for it is your task, and we are with you. Be strong in it. Then Ezra stood up and made the chief priests, Levites, and all of Israel swear to do according to what was said. So they swore this oath. Ezra rose from the house of Yahweh and went to the chamber of Jehoiakim, the son of Eliashib. He did not eat food nor drink water because he was mourning over the sin of the exiles. And they sent a proclamation through Judah and Jerusalem to all the returned exiles to assemble in Jerusalem. Anyone who did not come within 3 days is, by decision of the officials and the elders, all of his possessions would be devoted to Yahweh. And he himself would be excluded from the assembly of the exiles. Then all the men of Judah and Benjamin assembled in Jerusalem within the 3 days. It was the 9th month on the 20th day. And all the people sat in the public square of the house of Yahweh, trembling because of this matter and from the rain. Then Ezra, the priest, stood up and said to them, you have broken faith and married foreign women, increasing the guilt of it. It never stops. Now, make a confession to Yahweh, the Yahweh of your ancestors, and do his will. Separate yourselves from the people of the land, from these foreign women. Then All the assembly answered with a great voice, "We will do according to your words." And they did it again. And I don't have time anymore. But this I will leave you with. The parable of the 10 virgins exemplifies this attitude very well in little pieces. The foreign women, men had distracted them from their mission, and they had prepared themselves not for the mission at hand. The land was not purified because the idols and such were still in the land. That was set up for some problems later on. But the distraction was the offense of the virgins also. Matthew 25, 25:1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. The foolish ones took their lamps, but took no oil. The oil is what? Anyone? The oil of the knowledge, of the pure knowledge of God. The pure knowledge of God. From his lips, not the world's books. The 5 foolish ones took their lamps, took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels. The wise were those who were up on Scripture, up on things of God. And while the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And this midnight is not the time he's coming. Know that up front. But it's symbolic. And at midnight, there was a cry made, "Behold, the bridegroom come. Come out to meet him." They all, those virgins, arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps have gone out." I said, "What when I get up here? Ask someone." Not good advice for this. You had it yourself. You could have. We've had Bibles for years now. Read it sometime. Drink it in. Something happened to the foolish ones. And the foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are gone." But the wise answered, saying, "No, lest there be enough for us and you." It's your vessel, not someone else's vessel. You supply the oil for this vessel. Everyone has their own vessel. Store your own oil and fill it up every time it's a little low. Or this will happen to you. But the wise said, instead, saying, "No, lest there be not enough for us and you, but rather go to those who sell and buy for yourselves." Go out into the world and get their stuff. while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. And they were ready. And they who were ready went with him to the marriage. And the door was shut. Afterward, the other virgins came also, saying, Master, Master, open to us. But he answered and said, Truly I say to you, I do not know you. But more specifically, you don't know me. You could have learned of me in this book, and you chose to watch all my children or something. Or play a game or something. Or the Bears or somebody. The Saints or somebody. But while the bridegroom tarried, they all slept and slumbered. Not until his coming was announced did they see any difference between them. It developed in each head on their own. In all outward things, the wise and foolish virgins were alike. The difference between them was internal. The going out of the lamp is commonly understood as to mean the making of a profession, while absence of the restore of oil, reserve of oil, is supposed to signify the want of sincerity in that profession. That seems to be right, but no. For the foolish virgin had ill regard for the things of the bride. They had gone too far to meet him and were disappointed at their conclusion because their exclusion became a point of order because of their lack of preparation. Know this word. Know it inside out. And any way that you can get it. And approve it. And prove it. Improve on it, but not haphazardly. End with it, now that I know what it is. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Prove all things. Hold fast to that which is good.
Amen.